Before you close your eyes tonight, remember this. You are not just looking at the universe. The universe is quietly looking back at itself through you. Now gently allow your mind to slow down, as if everything around you is beginning to fade into quiet. Because when we look beyond our world, beyond the sky, beyond even the stars you can see at night, we enter a place that is almost impossible to fully imagine. Space, not loud, not chaotic, not overwhelming in the way we often think, but instead, vast, open, and deeply silent. In fact, the universe is mostly empty, between stars, between planets, between entire galaxies. There are distances so large, filled with almost nothing at all, that silence becomes the natural state of existence. No sound travels there. No noise breaks the stillness. Just endless space stretching in every direction. And if you could somehow be there, floating far away from everything, you wouldn't hear anything. Not your voice, not movement, not even the passing of time. Just a complete, peaceful silence. This silence is not lonely. It is not empty in a negative way. It is calm, steady, unchanging. Here on Earth we are, surrounded by constant noise, conversations, traffic, movement, thoughts racing in our minds. There is always something happening, something pulling your attention, but the universe is different. It does not rush, it does not compete for attention, it simply exists. Billions of light years wide, yet quiet. Galaxies drift slowly through this silence, like distant islands moving across an infinite ocean. Stars burn softly, releasing light that travels across the darkness without sound. Planets orbit their stars in complete stillness, repeating their paths over millions, even billions of years. Nothing is hurried, nothing is chaotic. Everything moves with a kind of natural patience that feels almost peaceful. And when you think about it, this vast silence has always been there, long before humans, long before Earth, long before even our sun was formed. The universe existed in this quiet state, expanding slowly, calmly, without urgency. Even now it continues to expand. Space itself is stretching gently, endlessly, carrying galaxies further apart over time. And yet, this expansion is so slow, so smooth, that it feels like nothing is changing at all. It is a reminder that not everything in existence needs to be fast to be meaningful. Some of the most powerful things in the universe happen in complete silence. Even the light from distant stars, traveling for millions of years, moves quietly through space. It doesn't rush. It doesn't make a sound. It simply continues its journey, steady and uninterrupted, until one day it reaches a place like Earth, where someone might look up at the night sky and see it. And in that moment, without realizing it, they are connecting with something that has traveled across unimaginable distances, through nothing but silence. There is something deeply calming about that thought, that beyond all the noise of life, beyond all the stress, beyond all the constant movement, there is a universe that remains still. A universe that does not demand anything from you. A universe that simply exists, quietly, patiently, endlessly. And perhaps in a way, that silence exists inside you too. A place untouched by noise. A place that does not rush. A place that simply observes and allows things to be as they are. Because the same universe that stretches across billions of light years is also the universe you are a part of. And when you slow down even for a moment, you begin to feel that connection. Not as something distant, but as something quietly present, endless, silent, at peace. And as you remain in that quiet awareness, gently drifting through the vast stillness of space, something subtle begins to reveal itself. The universe is not standing still, it is moving, but in a way so slow, so graceful, that it almost feels like stillness itself, far beyond what we can see with the naked eye, entire galaxies are drifting through space, not rushing, not colliding in chaos, but gliding, like soft currents in an endless ocean. Each galaxy carries billions of stars, and yet their movement is so gentle, so measured, that over a human lifetime, it feels as if nothing changes at all. But it is changing. Everything is. Stars are being born in quiet clouds of gas and dust, slowly gathering, slowly igniting, a process that takes millions of years. There is no sudden beginning, no sharp moment where a star simply appears. Instead, it unfolds gradually, like a slow breath forming into light. And once a star is born, it continues its journey in calm, persistence. It shines steadily, sometimes for billions of years, giving off light and warmth without ever rushing toward an end. Its life is long, patient, and continuous. Around these stars, planets move in gentle orbits. Think about that. Entire worlds circling their stars in perfect balance, following paths that rarely change. There is no hesitation, no confusion, just a steady, repeating motion that continues for ages beyond imagination. Even our own Earth is part of this slow dance. Right now, as you sit or lie still, the Earth is spinning beneath you. It is also moving around the Sun, and the Sun itself is traveling through the galaxy, and the galaxy is drifting through the universe. All of this movement is happening at once, and yet, you feel still. That is the quiet beauty of the cosmos. Motion without chaos, change without disturbance. Time in the universe does not move the way we experience it in daily life. Here on Earth, everything feels urgent. Minutes pass quickly, days feel short. There is always a sense of needing to move faster, do more, keep up. But in the universe, time stretches. A single process can take millions of years. A star can shine for billions. Galaxies evolve slowly, almost imperceptibly, over timescales, so vast that the human mind can barely hold them. And in that slow passage of time, there is no pressure. Nothing is late. Nothing is rushing to finish. Everything unfolds exactly as it is meant to, in its own rhythm. Even when stars reach the end of their lives, it is not always sudden. Some fade slowly, gently releasing their energy back into space. Others transform, becoming something new, continuing the cycle in a different form. It is not an ending in the way we often think. It is a transition, part of an ongoing flow. And this flow is happening everywhere, all the time, quietly. If you could step back far enough, far beyond our planet, far beyond even our galaxy, you would see a universe filled with motion that looks almost like stillness. Patterns repeating, orbits continuing, light traveling, everything moving in harmony. No noise, no urgency, just a slow, endless dance. And there is something deeply calming in realizing that you are part of this rhythm. The same universe that moves galaxies also moves time within your life. Not everything needs to happen quickly. Not everything needs to be forced. Some things unfold slowly, naturally, without pressure. Just like the stars, just like the galaxies, just like the universe itself, moving in perfect calm, without ever needing to hurry. And as you continue to drift through this quiet, endless space, there is something even more gentle to notice, something almost poetic in the way the universe reveals itself. Light. Not just the light you see around you every day, but light as a traveler, moving silently across the vastness of space, carrying stories from places so distant that they feel almost unreal. When you look up at the night sky, it may seem like you are seeing stars as they are right now, shining in the present moment. But the truth is much softer, much deeper than that. You are looking into the past. Every point of light you see has traveled a long journey to reach your eyes. Some of that light began its journey years ago, some decades ago, some even millions of years in the past. It has been moving steadily, without stopping, without rushing, crossing unimaginable distances just to arrive in this single quiet moment. And, when it reaches you, it brings with it a glimpse of history. That means the universe you see at night is not the universe as it is now, but as it once was. A living memory, gently unfolding in the sky above you. There is something incredibly calming about that, because it reminds you that time, in the universe, is not something that rushes forward in a straight line. It stretches, it overlaps, it flows in ways that are far beyond our everyday experience. Light moves at a constant speed, the fastest thing we know. And yet, even at that speed, the distances are so vast that it takes years just to cross the space between stars and millions of years to travel between galaxies. So the light you see tonight has been patiently making its way through the silence of space, uninterrupted, unaffected, simply continuing its journey. No hurry, no pressure, just movement, steady and calm. And along the way, it passes through emptiness, through quiet darkness, through the same still universe we have been exploring. It does not get lost. It does not change its mind. It simply continues, carrying with it the story of where it came from. In a way, light becomes a messenger. It connects you to places you may never reach, to moments that existed long before you were here. It allows you to witness the universe, not as a single moment, but as a collection of moments spread across time. And yet, all of it meets you here, in the present. This also means that distance in the universe is not just space, it is time. The further something is, the older the light you receive from it. The deeper you look into space, the further back in time you are seeing. It is like looking through a window that opens into history, showing you scenes that have already passed but are only now arriving. And somehow, this does not feel overwhelming. It feels quiet. It feels like the universe is gently sharing its story, piece by piece, without rushing to explain everything at once. Even the stars you see may no longer exist in the form you imagine. Some may have changed, some may have faded, but their light continues its journey, still reaching out, still visible, still present in its own way. So what you experience is not just space, it is a connection across time. A soft reminder that everything in the universe is part of a larger flow, where moments are never truly lost. They simply continue traveling, waiting to be seen. And as you sit here, or lie still, looking up or simply imagining this vast sky, you are part of that same flow, because the light that reaches you touches your eyes, is processed in your mind, and becomes part of your experience. In this very moment. A moment where past and present meet. Quietly, gently, without any need to rush, light traveling endlessly, carrying time across space, until it finds you, and as your mind settles deeper into this quiet journey, there is something even more profound waiting in the distance, the unknown. Because no matter how much we have discovered about the universe, no matter how far we have looked or how deeply we have studied, there is still so much we do not understand. In fact, most of the universe remains a mystery, and instead of feeling unsettling, there is a strange kind of peace in that. Out there, in the vast darkness, exist things we cannot fully see, cannot fully explain, and may never completely understand. Not because they are chaotic or dangerous, but because they are simply beyond the limits of what we currently know. Take black holes, for example. They are regions of space where gravity becomes so strong that nothing can escape, not even light. And yet, despite their intensity, they are not loud or explosive in the way we might imagine. They exist quietly, hidden in the fabric of space, gently shaping the motion of stars and galaxies around them. They do not demand attention. They simply exist in silence. Then there is something even more mysterious. Dark matter and dark energy. These are invisible forces that we cannot see directly, yet they make up most of the universe. They hold galaxies together, they influence how the universe expands, and they shape the large-scale structure of everything around us. And still, we do not fully understand what they are. But instead of turning this into fear, the universe presents it as something calm. something open, something that invites curiosity rather than pressure. Because not knowing everything means there is always space for wonder. There is always room to explore, to imagine, to slowly discover without needing immediate answers. In our daily lives, we often feel the need to understand everything quickly, to solve problems, to find certainty, to remove doubt. But the universe does not follow that pattern. It does not rush to explain itself. It allows mystery to exist, and in that allowance there is a kind of quiet comfort, because it shows us that it is okay not to have all the answers. It is okay for things to remain unknown for a while, or even forever. Some of the most beautiful parts of existence are not fully explained. They are simply experienced, observed, felt. Even the edge of the universe, if there is one, remains a question. Space continues to expand, stretching further and further, carrying galaxies away from each other in a slow, steady motion. And beyond what we can observe, there may be even more or something entirely different. But we do not need to know everything to feel at peace within it. The mystery itself becomes part of the calm, because when you release the need to fully understand, your mind begins to relax. It stops trying to control everything. It allows space for stillness, just like the universe allows space for the unknown. And within that space, there is quiet. There is no urgency to solve the universe tonight, no pressure to figure out its deepest secrets. It will continue to exist, to expand, to evolve, with or without our complete understanding. And somehow that makes it feel even more gentle, because it reminds you that not everything needs to be defined to be meaningful. Some things can simply be present, vast, and quietly beautiful. In their mystery, the unknown is not something to fear, it is something to rest within. And as this quiet journey begins to settle, there is one final realization that gently brings everything together. You are not separate from this universe you have been imagining. You are part of it, not in a distant or symbolic way, but in a real physical, undeniable sense. The atoms that make up your body, every cell, every breath, every heartbeat, were once part of stars. Long before the earth existed, long before life began. The elements inside you were formed deep within ancient stars that lived and slowly transformed over time. When those stars reached the end of their lives, they released those elements back into space, where they drifted, mixed, and eventually became part of new systems, new planets, and finally, part of you. So when you look at the night sky, you are not just looking at something far away. You are looking at your origin. There is something deeply calming in that thought, because it removes the feeling of distance. The universe is not something outside of you that you need to reach. It is something you are already connected to in the most natural way possible. Every breath you take is part of this ongoing flow. The oxygen you inhale was created through cosmic processes. The energy you carry is part of the same system that powers stars. Even your awareness, your ability to observe and reflect, is something that has emerged from this vast, quiet universe. You are not separate from it. You are an expression of it. And when you realize this, something begins to soften inside you. The need to feel small or lost in the vastness starts to fade. Instead, there is a sense of belonging, a quiet understanding that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Not outside the universe, but within it, as part of its ongoing story. Even your presence in this moment, listening, imagining, reflecting, is part of that same cosmic process. The universe is not just out there in distant galaxies and silent space. It is here, experiencing itself through you. And just like the universe moves slowly, calmly, without rushing, you too are allowed to move at your own pace. There is no need to force everything, no need to have all the answers immediately. Life, like the cosmos, unfolds gradually. Moments come and go. Thoughts rise and fade. Experiences shape you, just as stars shape the elements of existence over time. Everything is part of a larger flow, and within that flow you are not alone. You are connected to something vast, something ancient, something endlessly quiet and steady. A system that has been evolving for billions of years and yet somehow has led to this exact moment, this moment where you are here, breathing, aware, present. And perhaps that is the most relaxing realization of all, that you do not need to chase the universe or try to understand every part of it to feel at peace. Because you already belong to it, you always have, and you always will. A quiet part of an endless whole, and in the end, after all the stars, all the silence, and all the mysteries, you were never separate from it. You were always home.